I got it.
Yay!
I have so many links.
I know. Yeah, I already said that that you will come, and I mean, I don't know how many people will might join us. The link is open, so people can come in. We will also record the call for those who can't make it, and I guess we can just start the call and then see what happens. If we will stay in.
People are on though, right?
Circle. There are a few. I think nobody has the camera on, but there are.
Oh, here comes Roy.
How you doing?
Good. Hi, Roy.
Hi, good to see you.
You too.
So there's Pam coming in. Do you want to start, Biff or Eric, or I can also start?
Why don't you start, Julia? I think you have an idea of her.
Yeah, we thought we just do this very open and informal informative call for everyone who's interested in the Yin Yoga trainings that we are offering, to create a space where questions can be asked, and those questions can come about organizational aspects, certification, accommodation, content of the training, everything that is interesting for you, everything that you're wondering about. And then, of course, we will also give maybe a short introduction of each module, maybe each of us will say a few words about each module. We didn't talk about it before, but I'm just making this up. And yeah, I think after we talked a little bit about the module, we would open up the circle for any questions that you are having. And in case you're not having any questions, we can say a little bit about organizational aspects, the places where we will do the trainings this year, and everything else that is interesting. Sounds good? Good.
Sounds great.
So shall I just start with module 1, and then one of you says a little bit about module 2, the other one says a little bit about module 3? I mean, there is a lot of information about the content of the module online on the website. Also, Eric already created some videos last year in his canoe where he talked about the modules, the content of it. The first module for me, it's like creating the fundament or the basis to get access to the practice. We are going into Taoism to understand where actually this kind of practice is coming from and what's the philosophical background. And then we're also talking a lot about how can you say, the tools that you need to access the practice in terms of what are actually the Yin Yoga postures that you can practice, what do you need to know about the body, about our bones, the connective tissue, but also the energetical parts of the body, the meridians, to understand how the body is working on this physical level, but then also how is it working on the energetical level and the emotional level. We are also having a look at the practice and the postures to see how they actually affect us and how they work, how can they be beneficial, what needs to be considered in order to make them really a beneficial, maybe even healing or therapeutical practice, what needs to be considered so that they are not damaging or dangerous in a way. And we are also going into the aspect of, in order to give this practice to other people, giving classes, for example, giving Yin Yoga to other people, what needs to be done to create this space to do that. How can a yoga class, a Yin Yoga class or sequence be done? And this is kind of the story through the week. The trainings are usually 6 days long. Is it right? 6 days long, where we are going through all of these topics in module 1 and having also a lot of practice, doing yin yoga practice each day, but also doing some sort of movement and contemplative practice to not only have all the theory and all the input, but also to have the opportunity to experience for yourself, and from there deepen your own practice, but also understanding on a different level and being able to come up with questions that are not coming from reading a book or following something that we are saying, but experiencing with your own body, with your own mind, and being able to transfer from there. And the other modules are, I feel like they are building up on this base that you're creating there to understand the practice. Nevertheless, all of the modules are standalone trainings, so you can also decide to just do one of the modules that is like tempting for you, that feels like this is something that you need. And we don't necessarily say that you have to do the modules in the order of 1, 2, 3. There are also many students who did them in all kinds of orders. I feel it also depends a little bit on personality in a way, and where you are standing in your life. For some people, it's really important to have this certain kind of structure to build up from a base, as if you're building a house, having the base and then the next pillars and then the roof. But there are also people who started maybe more from a personal journey, or their path of inner work with maybe module 2 or 3, and then decided to come back to module 1 to get a little deeper into the core of the practice. I don't know, Eric and Biff, if you want to add something to module 1, or then go on with the other modules and their content.
Well, just to say that module 1, that training we've been teaching since 2007, perhaps. And it's certainly refined to our understanding of what we really need to understand as a yoga teacher to teach yin. So it's concentrated on the philosophy, the anatomy, the energy movement, and the energy and how the energy moves. And then what happened was I was asked by an institute to do an advanced yin training, and I began to really think about what that meant. And it became clear to me that what that meant, for me, wasn't not different postures, wasn't Sanskrit, wasn't more anatomy. It was the personal journey of the teacher. Because what I was seeing in yoga, as yoga teachers, we're trained as facilitators how to present a class, but there's a lot of internal work we need to do to assume that position. And we certainly see yoga teachers who are trained in the technical aspects of yoga, but have not done their personal work, and their ego is leading them into the room. I don't need to go into, of course, details. So it happened at that time that I was studying with a cultural anthropologist, Angeles Arian, and she was looking at indigenous cultures through 4 archetypes of warrior, healer, teacher, and visionary. And I began to feel the archetypes of yin and yang expand into these 4 archetypes from the nature tradition. And these archetypes include the seasons. For instance, spring is the season of the healer. It includes the directions. For instance, the east is the direction of the visionary, the place of the rising sun, where creation begins. And they're attached to animals. The archetypes are attached to all of nature, because that's how the nature tradition saw their life. So I began to see our personal journey not so much as the balance of yin and yang, but as the balance of these four archetypes. And those archetypes, unlike the more classical Indian archetypes, are much more anchored in the earth, as the Native American traditions were, less focused on heaven and more focused on earth. So that's, and the last time I met with Angelus before she died, I said, Angelus, I want to take these archetypes and into my yoga training, because I relate more to the nature traditions than I do, quite frankly, to the Hindu traditions of India. So I began to, not that they're not compatible, because of course they are, but so that's what the second module begins to look at our life as teachers and humans as the balance of these archetypes of warrior, healer, teacher, and visionary, lying to the north, south, west, and east. So we begin to use yin practices as a way of coming into balance and using these archetypes of expansions of the yin and yang archetype. So that's that workshop, that training I started maybe in about 2010 or 11, and that's been developing since then. But then we were also decided, my interests also, our interests were also in what are the stories we're carrying, what are in our bodies and in our minds, in our emotions. And that led us to begin this third module, which Eric has been is very tied in with as well. So Eric, will you talk a little bit about that module?
So fun to hear you both speak about these modules. It's we each carry such perspectives on them, and I'm always, yeah, it's a joy to hear that. So expanding on that same kind of idea, that what does it mean to offer an advanced teacher training, right? Is that more philosophy, postures, etc., as was mentioned, or is it sort of the more deeply we know our own story, our own path, that then can actually shine light for others to expand upon and walk their own path, which is embodied in this archetype that is expanded in the second module, which is the healer. And the healers, I think my own story, I first came to the Jamtse Yin Yoga trainings playing the drum, playing tabla. And so the story of me entering this space, playing a drum silently, not speaking, and surrounded by people practicing silently other than the drum and the poetry, and just the power of that story that I was stepping into, not to mention the sensitivity in the space of people's entire awareness, their whole body, listening to the poetry, listening to the drum, and helping that as a vehicle, rather, for them to dive deeper into the body. And so the drum is the instrument of the healer archetype, and the salve of the healer is storytelling. And so through so many ways, we understand the world, the humans understand the world through story, whether we think of it in that way or not. We understand what is unfolding around us and within us through the lens of story. So we sort of expand in the third module to begin to really look through that lens of story at the yin practice. So how are we sharing that philosophy of non-striving and natural patterns that come from Taoism? How are we understanding, each of the archetypes in our own life, their shadow sides, as well as how we relate to expressing each of those archetypes in the potential classroom or yoga studio, and yet this deeper aspect of listening that is so core to the yin practice, and the sensitivity that is developed through that stillness in the postures, that is transferred into understanding what stories are carried in the body, and how the body and the connective tissue specifically can be storehouses for different memories, different understandings, relationships, energies, however we may name them. But that through this quiet practice, we begin to listen more deeply and start to potentially see more clearly the stories that we are carrying in our bodies and in our hearts. And again, feeding that back into this idea of being a teacher training, that the more deeply we can understand our own stories, we can potentially separate ourselves and see our story from the third person perspective. It allows us to more potently create a space where others can really feel empowered to explore and express their own original medicine, as Angeles Arian would say, and this idea that our own unique path is a very important teaching that we are offered to bring to the world. So the storytelling seems in so many ways so much more whimsical as we also are listening to old stories. We're telling old stories and listening to them, whether they're from fairy tales from Siberia, or love stories from the plains of the indigenous Turtle Island or North America here. And so all over the world, we're sharing these different stories from Africa, et cetera. So hearing these different ways that humans have expressed certain teachings or understandings in story, which in many ways is far more nuanced and yet more playful and truthful to the myriad ways that we can see truth in our own lives. So using the yin practice to ground those stories and yet honoring the storytelling components of practicing and teaching.
Thank you, Eric. I think often of what the educator Parker Palmer said. He said, we teach from the shadows of our unexamined life. We teach from the shadows of our unexamined life. To be able to ask people to accept themselves, of course, we have to understand what that means for ourselves. And and it's true for all those things we're inviting people to begin to understand in their life. So that's how our trainings developed. I think the storytelling actually preceded the second module, but it wasn't a module. It was just a workshop, and then it became a module later. Does anyone have any questions about anything?
In case you have any questions, you can just unmute yourself and yeah, just speak.
Hi guys, I'm Roy. I don't have any questions, but I'm super excited to be at the training. I took module 2 at Yogaville in 2019, and I don't remember exactly when, what month, but I have done what Biff you had stated was your morning routine. I've done it pretty much every morning since then, and it's been an invaluable gift in my life. It's been wonderful. So I'm just looking forward to module 1. I'm signed up and paid and ready to go. I'm in Miami right now, where I've spent the last year helping my mom through a hip replacement. But I'm going back to Yogaville for a couple of months actually next week, and from there I'll travel to the to module 1. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in person again, Roy. It seems like a long time since Yogaville.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for all of this. Sounds wonderful. Maybe not so well. I guess I do have some questions. I am a student of Marla Erickson for almost 10 years now, and she is fabulous, to say the least. But I actually heard about you from another lady from, I took a training with instinctive meditation with Lauren and Camille. I guess I'm wondering how I took Marla's foundational yin course. It was a 40-hour, and I think what she's planning to do is she tends to basically tack on different sort of more topic-based workshops. And I'm wondering just how it would mesh, and maybe you've already answered that in terms of, like, I was wondering, do I need to go take the module 1 again? Do I need to, or can I take the other ones? I think maybe I've answered my own question, but maybe you have some insight as well.
Well, I think Marla is great. If you didn't have a good time in that training, then something's wrong.
Exactly. We had a
Oh, wow.
fabulous,
She is. Did she make margaritas for you or anything? Doesn't she do it?
online training. No, if it was an in-person training, she would have made margaritas for us.
Oh. Yeah. I think, Marla certainly has been to a number of trainings. She's very conscientious and compassionate and wonderful person and teacher, although I've never been to a class. So I'm sure you have a foundation. There are different points of view, of course. I can't say I wouldn't recommend that you come to the first training because there's always something different. But as far as needing to, Marla knows what she's doing. But we'd love to have you at the first module, and I'm sure it would be a little bit different. But we'll see you at the next one, I hope.
Oh, I'm hoping so as well. I'm thinking that, Eric, your description of module 2 and 3 as well, especially the module 2. And I love your warrior healer visionary teacher. That's really, really something that's been actually just rummaging around my brain. So the call has been answered.
The Zoom call.
No less. And I'm hoping to join one of your trainings very soon.
That would be lovely. Anytime.
Any other questions that are coming up?
Well, this is Pam. It's been so long. Hello, Julia. Nice to see you. And Biff, I took your module 2 at Somewhat, the dojo with Cecile in 2018.
Of course, I was trying to remember when we last saw each other.
Yeah, and my life has been changed by that gathering, really has. And I'm just really excited to be up at module 1. I'm going to be there too, Roy. So I just wanted to join this. I really enjoyed hearing how you developed everything. I mean, I knew about some of your archetypal work. Is that the right word? Archetypal work with Angela, but I just didn't understand how everything developed. And maybe you spoke about that at the dojo, but I wasn't there. My body wasn't listening or something. I don't know. But I'm so excited to be with you again. And Julia, I wanted to take another one of your classes with you on Zoom when we had that. What was it, last year? I don't know how many months ago that you got everybody together, Biff, for a world circle. And I enjoyed that so much too. So that being said, I have a dental appointment and I gotta leave. And you're making me laugh too. You're making me laugh. I can't wait to see you. So thank
Great,
you.
Pam. Good luck with your dental appointment.
Oh yeah, I need it.
Don't bite his fingers no matter what he does.
Okay. Take care, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you very much, Pam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I mean,
great.
we are also always there for questions that might come up afterwards. You can always contact us for whatever questions are coming up. All questions are welcome, and we are always happy to support with making the decision or with the path you're on, or however we can be there.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, I think if there are no any further questions, then thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Nice to talk to you and call anytime.
Happy
See you on
you
the
soon.
26th.
Yeah,
Perfect.
See you soon.
right, yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Let's meet on the other Zoom link for a minute, Julia, Eric.
Yes.
See you later, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.